Hello, good morning, all of you. My name is Mohammed Salim from the Department of English. So, yesterday I have shared a video on your syllabus of Bridge course English for Beginners. So, today I'm moving to the first module, communication. So, as you know that you have studied from your previous classes about communication, what are the process of communication, like that. Which are the elements in communication, what are the things included in the communication process, like that. You have studied detailed about these things, but anyhow I'm just giving you a small description about communication and the process and the elements of communication and what are the different types of communication. Okay, so my question is, what is this communication? You know that what is the importance of communication, or what is the process of communication, which are the types of communication, which are the levels of communication, and what are the communication barriers, and what are the tools for effective communication. These are the things we are going to discuss in this module. So first of all, I am asking you, or I am asking giving you a question about what is communication, or what is the need of communication. You know that we are living in a world of ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and everything. Okay, so first of all, I'm asking you that what is communication? What's the need of communication in the world? So, you know that in this world, without communication, without a proper communication channel, we can't sustain. You know that we have some ideas, we want to share those ideas with any other persons, and if we had some ideas, if we want to, if we are not going to exchange those ideas to others, our ideas will remain silent. But for the world, for the sake of the world, we have to share our emotions, feelings, ideas, thoughts, and everything to other persons. That's the way the world is going. Okay, so we are moving to the next slide. Communication is what? I'm just giving you some tips that it's a process of exchanging informations. Okay, we have some information. So now itself I'm giving some information to you. I'm using some type of channel, and I have some information with me. I have some information in the text. So I am taking that information and I am giving that information to you. That's the process of exchanging. And next, it's a process of exchanging ideas. Firstly, we will informations. We have informations, we have a lot of informations. If I had some information, I will give you, or I will share those information with you, and you guys have some information and you will share those with me. That's the process of exchanging information. And next, it's a process of exchanging ideas. I have some idea, I have some idea, you have some idea, we will share it both. Then there comes thoughts. I have some thoughts, feelings are there, emotions are there. So these are the, it's the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, then feelings, emotion, etc. So through how can we exchange our ideas? Through speech. Now now itself I am speaking to you, I am speaking my ideas, or my, I have some information with me. So by the means of speaking, by this means of speaking, I am exchanging my ideas to you. That's the process. That then comes signals are there. Like traffic signal is an example for uh, communication. You know that traffic signal, if we are going through the road by in a car or a bike or any other vehicles, we have to follow certain informations there, we have to follow certain rules. So while we happen to there in a junction, if there is a traffic signal, if the lights, if the red lights gone, we can go. If it was red there, we have to stand, we have to stop there. So that's the thing. Signals is a type of communication. Then through writing. I can write someone, like we can write a letter to someone. That's why we can communicate each other. Through behavior, through our behavior. If we are going to some any other place, from the behavior of certain, we can name to more different types of cultures. For example, your hairstyle is an example of your communicative behavior. Okay, like that. So everything is a type of communication. So I'm giving you a small introduction that the term communication, that is derived from the Latin word communis. It means common. So you have to note down these things, that the term communication, it is derived from the Latin word communis, which means common. There is something common in that. If I have something common, you have something common, then we will communicate those things with another. That's the process of communication happening. So the term communication is derived from the Latin word communis, meaning common. Then in general, while we are in general, communication refers to the reciprocal exchange of information, ideas, facts, opinions, beliefs, feelings, and attitudes through verbal or non-verbal means between two people or within a group of people. So this may give a small what we call it a definition for communication. Okay, in generally while we are speaking about communication or the communication process, communication refers to the reciprocal exchange of information. That's a reciprocal exchange of sharing information, ideas. It may be facts, it may be opinions, it may be belief, feelings, and attitudes through verbal or non-verbal means between two people or within a group of people. If some people, they are sharing their opinions. Now it's a time for election. You know that our Panchayat elections is coming on. So some of the political parties, they want to share their opinions, their ideas, their information to you. So they are giving these type of facts and these things in use of social media, through writing, like that. They can use many ways like that. Some of the person, they are going to share those information to you or to a group of people. This is a process what's happening in communication. So there comes a definition by Webster's dictionary and Robert Anderson. So communication is a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols and signs of behavior. Okay, so there comes Webster's dictionary. They gave a detailed definition on communication is that it's a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols and signs of behavior. So the common system of symbols and signs, that is an important one. If a person, for example, if a person came to you, if he is from any other country, for example, a Chinese man came to you, you happen to meet a Chinese person, and you know English, you know Malayalam, then you know Arabic, maybe some of you know Hindi, many, right? But the Chinese man also knows, he knows Chinese only. Then there is no way of communication. So we have to communicate. We can't communicate through verbal means, because the man who came from China, he only knows Chinese, and you are here and you know some of the languages, but it is not a common system. So if you want to communicate through verbally, either the man or you want to know a common language. Okay, so it must be in a common system of symbols. For example, while I know English and this Chinese man know English, so we can communicate through English. And if I don't know English, there is no way of equal communication. So it must be through a common system of symbols, a signs of behavior. Okay, this is the definition given by Webster's dictionary. And next, by Robert Anderson, he gave a small definition for communication is: communication is the interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or signs. That's another thing. Okay, communication is an interchange of thoughts, opinions, or information by speech, writing, or science. So these are the things, that these are the definitions we can give through this for this communication process. Okay, so So we detail discuss about what is the guys in an introduction. Communication is it's a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions like that. And there comes the term communication is derived from word like that. And there comes the definition process. Okay, then next we are moving to the meaning of communication. These are the things which is generally discussed in this previous slides. Anyhow, I am just repeating for that. So communication is a process through which individuals mutually exchange their ideas, values, thoughts, feelings and actions with one or more people. So it's the transfer of information from the sender to the receiver so that it is understood in the right context. So if the communication is processed, there will be some elements like that. If there needs a sender, the sender have a message, he needs a channel to transfer his message, and after he share this his message through the channels, there needs a receiver to receive the message. So the transfer of information from the sender to the receiver so that it is understood in the right context, then it the process of initiating, transmitting and receiving information. So third one, so you have to know that the process of initiating, transmitting and receiving information. So there comes an initiating of the message. Like you know that if a sender, if I have some message, I want to take and initiate to create that message, and I want to transmit that message. I will transmit that message by any means, and you are receiving those messages. For example, so today's class, I have some message, right? I have a message, I have some materials on this communication. So I am initiating to create those message, and I am going to transmit those message by using my mobile and WhatsApp or internet like that. And you are receiving my message or my information through your WhatsApp and by using internet. So that is why this is a process that is happening in the process. This is a process that was happening in the communication system. Okay, so the means of making the transfer of information is productive and goal oriented. So always there must be a goal oriented, or the meaning or the transformation of information must be productive. That is important, it must be productive. And the process of sharing information and ideas, attitudes between. So these are the things. Okay, so next we are moving to the next slide. Then there comes the process of communication. Okay, then there comes the process of communication. Then firstly there will be a sender. He is the most important one. Sender is the important one. He is the referent, or he is the man who creates or who initiates the message. He is the important one in the communication process. There is a sender, and the sender have a message. Sender he holds a message, and he want to share those message into a channel. He uses a channel to share his message. And there comes third one, the receiver. So first there will be a sender, second there will be a message and a channel, and third one there will be a receiver. So these are the process of communication. The sender, he encode a message, he creates a message, he initiate a message, he had some information with him, he had some ideas with him, he is trying to create those things by using, he create those message and share it through a channel. Now I am initiating, I am taking my message, I am initiating my message through a channel which used in WhatsApp or internet, and you are receiving, you are decoding those things, you are receiving those things by WhatsApp. So there comes a message. So there will be a sender, there will be a message, and there will be a receiver. So these are the process of communication. And after you got this communication, after you received those my message, you will give me a feedback. Okay, you will give that, you will make your lecture notes on this, you will send your names and class for your attendance like that. So that is it. Okay, there will be a feedback. Okay, so these are the things included in the process of communication. And next which are the elements of communication which we discussed. So we said that there is a sender. Okay, who is a sender? We can say that a sender is the person who encodes and sends the message to the expected receiver through an appropriate channel. So okay, a sender is a person who encodes, who creates a message and send the message to the expected receiver through an appropriate channel. So a sender is the source of message that is generated to be delivered to the receiver after appropriate stimulus from the referent. Okay, so if a teacher wants, if a student needs a doubt, if his students want to clear a doubts, he will ask the teacher, and the teacher will make clear the doubt. So there will be an appropriate stimulus from both the sender and the receiver. So the sender is a person who encodes and sends the message to the expected receiver. So second one is there comes the message. What's a message? The message is the content of communication, may contain verbal, non-verbal or symbolic language. The message is the verbal, non-verbal. For example, I am giving you a video note. That's a message. So I am giving you a written material. That's a message. Okay. So the message is the content of communication, and it may contain verbal, non-verbal or symbolic language. For example, I'm sharing a picture with you. That's a message. That's a message I want to share with you. I'm giving you a sign of some signs. That's an example of a message. Okay. So the perception and personal factors of the sender and receiver may sometimes distort this element, that the intended outcome of communication may not be achieved. For example, the same message may be communicated or perceived differently by two individuals. For example, if a teacher wants to communicate something to the students, for example, if the teacher wants to communicate a student, he want to use certain types of verbal or written materials. If you want to communicate with your friends, for example, you are going through the street and you may happen to see somebody, so you want to communicate. If it's your friend, you can communicate by any other means. You can shake your hands like that. Many things are there. Okay, that's the thing is the message. And the third one is a channel. This is the important one. The channel is a medium through which a message is sent or received between two or more people. Okay, there comes, I already told that I have a message, I want to initiate that message, and I want to send those messages by using a channel. So a channel is important one. A channel is a medium through which a message is sent or received between two or more people. So several channels can be used to send or receive the message, that is seeing, hearing, touching, smelling and tasting, anything. For example, tasting is an example, right? That's a channel. Okay, then while selecting channels of communication, several factors must be considered. For example, the availability of channel, purpose, preference of sender, receiver and communication skill, like that. Okay, and the last, so these are the elements of communication. So next, there are two types of communication. In our syllabus, we have to discuss verbal communication, that's human communication, and that's the thing, that's things included in our syllabus. So first of all, types of communication. People communicate with each other in a number of ways that depend upon the message and its context in which it is being. So there are people communicate with each other in a number of ways. For example, there are two, based on the channels are used, there are two types of communication: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. There is verbal communication is there, and there is non-verbal communication is there. So what is mean by this verbal communication? That's the thing we are learning to the next slide. That verbal communication means it refers to the form of communication in which a message is transmitted verbally. Okay, so it refers to the form of communication in which message is transmitted verbally. We are speaking by using an example. For communication is done by word of mouth and a piece of writing. So in verbal communication, remember the acronym KISS. Keep it short and symbol. So verbal means it refers to the form of communication in which message is transmitted by verbally, by orally. I am speaking to you, you are speaking to me. That's an example of verbal communication. We are using verbal things in the process of communication. That's known as verbal communication. And the verbal communication is again divided into two. There is oral communication and there is written communication. So what is this oral communication? In oral communication, we are using the spoken words. It includes face-to-face conversations, speech, telephonic conversation, video, radio, television, like that. That's just by using oral communication. Okay, then communication is influenced by pitch, volume, speech, and clarity of speaking. So these are the things in oral communication. And the advantages of oral communication are there. It brings quick feedback in a face-to-face conversation. While we are speaking to face-to-face communication with our friends, or you are communicating with your teachers by face-to-face, there gives quick feedback by reading facial expressions. If I am taking the class, if we are in an online class, I'm taking the lecture, I can get a quick feedback from the front, from your students, like whether you are understanding or it or not, whether you are catching it or not, like it. It may give quick feedback to us. Okay, then there are disadvantages to oral communication. In face-to-face discussion, user is unable to deeply think about what he is delivering, so this can be counted as a fault. Okay, then there comes the written communication. In written communication, written signs or symbols are used to communicate. So in written communication, message can be transmitted by email, letter. While we are using written communication, we are writing something to someone. We are writing a letter to your teacher. You are writing a letter to your friend. That is an example of written communication. Then while this type of communication, there are some advantages are there. Messages can be edited and revised. We can write a letter and we can change the content and we can write another. That's an example. That's an advantage of this written communication. And a written communication provide record and backup. That's one of the important thing. If I am going to write a letter to you, the letter will be a permanent record is there. So that's an example. That's an advantage of written communication. And you are writing the exams. That's an example of written communication. You are answering to the question. Okay, that's an example of written communication. And a written message enables a receiver to fully understand it and send appropriate feedback. Then there are some disadvantages for this written communication. Okay, the written communication doesn't bring instant feedback. It does not give you instant feedback. If I am going to write a letter to you and you may read the letter and you will return it, there will not be an instant feedback, and it take more time in conveying a written message as compared to word of mouth, and number of people struggles for writing ability. So there will not be a good written, there will not be an instant feedback in written communication when comparing to the oral communication or verbal communication. So I think it will do for today. It's enough for today. We have discussed some of the points. I'm just repeating the same. Firstly, we introduced what is communication and we gave an introduction about communication. Then there comes to definition one by Webster's Dictionary and Robert Anderson. And after that, we discussed the meaning of communication, and there comes the process of communication. There will be a sender, a message, and a receiver, and there are the elements of communication. What's a sender, what's a message, what's a channel, like that. Then there comes the types of communication. We discussed that there are two types of communication: verbal and non-verbal communication. Okay, so what's this verbal communication? And verbal communication is again divided into oral and written. Okay, so we have to discuss what is non-verbal communication in the next video. So I hope it will give you a good understanding on this lesson. If you had any doubts after watching this video, you have to contact me. I will make it clear. Okay, thank you.